Hello and welcome to Quest Recapped. Today, we will be going through the 2021 American animated musical fantasy film, Encanto. In a small town of Colombia, an old lady named Alma Madrigal is telling her granddaughter, Mirabel, about their family history. When Alma was young, she was married to a man named Pedro, and they had 3 children. But one day, due to the invasion of the Spaniards, they were compelled to leave their house. Many villagers followed them at the time in the hope of finding a new home, but Pedro died during the journey. Alma was devastated by this, but in the darkest hour of her life, the magical candle her husband had given her began to generate a flame that would never go out. The magic also built a home for them, which they called Casita. Since then, every member of the Madrigal family who reaches the age of 5 is granted a gift that they must use to take care of their village. In the present, Mirabel has reached the age of 5, so she must now touch the doorknob of her room to see what her gift will be. The scene then shifts to 10 years later, when teenage Mirabel is helping her family with errands, since her little cousin, Antonio's gift ceremony is taking place that evening. While setting the table, she is questioned by a few kids who want to know what her gift is. But, rather than talking about herself, Mirabel starts to talk about his family members. Her mother, Julieta, can heal sick people with her food, while her father, Augustine, is an ordinary man. Mirabel also has 2 sisters, Luisa, who has superhuman strength, and Isabella, the perfect sister who can make flowers bloom anywhere. On the other hand, her aunt, Peppa, is married to a normal man named Felix and can influence the weather based on her feelings. Mirabel also has an uncle named Bruno who can predict the future, but he is an outcast and the family refuses to talk about him. Her cousins include Dolores, who can hear everything from a great distance, Camilo, who can shapeshift, and little Antonio, whose gift ceremony is going to take place that night. Every day, they work together for the progress and growth of their village, which they consider a beautiful paradise. However, the kids are really curious about Mirabel's power. Mirabel tries to avoid answering the question, but Dolores soon reveals that she has not received any gifts. Mirabel pretends as if it doesn't affect her, yet she feels like an outcast in her family. However, she still believes that one day she may be gifted with magical abilities. Mirabel then returns home to help with the celebration's arrangements. Her family is concerned because this is the first gift ceremony, since Mirabel was not granted her powers. Later, while she is decorating, her grandma, Alma, arrives and urges her to let someone else do the work. She wants the day to be perfect and does not want Mirabel to mess it up. Now, Mirabel returns to her room feeling upset and meets with her cousin Antonio. He is really nervous since his biggest fear is that he will not receive a gift and would disappoint his family. Mirabel, on the other hand, calms him down and gives him a stuffed tiger as a gift since he is an animal lover. Moments later, the ceremony begins, and the entire town gathers to celebrate. Antonio walks up to his door and touches the doorknob. Immediately, the door illuminates and a toucan sits on Antonio's arm, indicating that he has been gifted with the ability to communicate with animals. Soon after, other animals appear, and the family is relieved and begins to celebrate. Meanwhile, Mirabel remembers her gift ceremony and how the door simply vanished when she wasn't given her gift. While the rest of her family gathers for a family photo, she feels left out and wishes she could be special like them. Later, while Mirabel is alone in the house, a ceiling tile falls and the floor tiles start to crumble. The candle also looks to be fading out, despite Alma telling her that it never goes out. Mirabel quickly leaves to notify the family, but when they return, everything appears to be intact, and the wall has been turned into a table. Mirabel tries to convince her family that she is telling the truth, but they believe she is just trying to ruin the night for no reason. Later that night, Mirabel is resting in her bed, confused over what happened earlier. She then goes outside to check on the candle but notices her grandmother in a worried state. Alma is now speaking to her late husband, Pedro, and pleading for his help because the family miracle is in its last days. She has no idea what is going on or how to prevent her home from falling apart, so she asks Pedro to show her a way. Hearing this, Mirabel decides to save the magic of that house, but she has no idea how. The next morning, she tries to question Dolores about anything odd she has heard. Dolores tries to avoid any suspicious conversation, although she does tell Mirabel that she noticed Luisa's eye twitching. Following this, Mirabel follows Luisa as she goes about her town chores, fixing everything that her strength could help with. Luisa behaves as though everything is alright since she is incredibly strong, but she soon caves in and expresses her endless need to prove she is the strongest. But now, Luisa hugs Mirabel and reveals she felt physically weak after Mirabel described the cracks in the casita. Luisa then advises her to visit their outcast Uncle Bruno's tower for more answers. Later, Mirabel sneaks into Bruno's abandoned room, where Casita's magic can't help her. After climbing a lengthy staircase and dangling to another ledge, she finds a cave with broken fragments of one of Bruno's visions. When she puts the pieces together, she is surprised to find an image of herself and fears that she is the reason that the magic's dying. Just then, the cave begins to collapse and fall, so Mirabel collects all the shards and leaves the area before getting trapped there. Next, Mirabel goes home and is questioned by her grandma, who is suspicious as to where she has been. Luisa enters suddenly and reveals that she is losing strength. Alma is worried after hearing this, but she has important things to do because a guy named Mariano and his family are coming to discuss marriage with Isabella. Mirabel then rushes to her room to try to piece together the vision, when her Aunt Peppa makes an appearance. Mirabel inquires whether being in one of Bruno's visions is a positive or negative thing, but just then, Felix arrives at the scene. He then states that Bruno only foretold negative things and that everyone in the community has awful memories of him. However, Mirabel is desperate to discover the truth and assembles the crystal, but her father arrives in the room. She then tells her father everything, and he advises her not to tell anyone and that the secret should be kept between them. But unfortunately, Dolores is nearby and overhears the entire discussion. Afterward, the Madrigals gather at the dining table while Mariano and his parents arrive for the engagement. While Mirabel struggles to hold it together, Dolores spills the beans to her family members, who continue to pass along the word. Alma blames Mirabel for her misbehavior again, causing Casita to crack even more and the family's powers to go crazy. Camillo can't manage his shape-shifting, Luisa can't even move a piano into the room, and Isabella accidentally generates a floral vine that hits Mariano in the face. Meanwhile, due to Pepa's anxiety, a storm breaks out inside the house, and everyone leaves the dining room. Mirabel then tries to take the vision shards to her room but accidentally drops one. A rat picks up the shard and returns it to Bruno, who is hidden beneath the casita's walls. Mirabel follows him and discovers his small shelter. The family thought he had gone into exile, but he was just staying behind the kitchen so that the rats can bring him food. Now, Mirabel requests his help, but he refuses since he knows his visions always make people depressed. He claims that on the night Mirabel failed to get her gift, Alma got concerned about the family's future and urged Bruno to look into the future to find out what was going on. Just then, Antonio discovers them as the rats inform him of what is going on. With his encouragement, Bruno agrees to share a new vision with Mirabel. They continue to see her standing in front of the destroyed casita, then something new happens. Mirabel notices a butterfly while standing in front of the candle and hugging someone, who turns out to be Isabella. Initially, Mirabel refuses to hug Isabella because they don't get along, but realizes she must do it to save the magic of the house. Mirabel immediately goes to Isabella's room and apologizes for ruining her engagement. Isabella, on the other hand, is enraged and explains that she has always sacrificed her true self to please her family. She was even willing to marry Mariano against her will to keep her grandmother happy, but Mirabel made sure to ruin everything. During her wrath, Isabella creates a cactus, which she loves because she has never grown anything other than flowers. She then decides to let out whatever she feels rather than aiming to be perfect all of the time. This helps Isabella overcome her resentment of Mirabel, and they end up embracing in front of the candle, which causes it to grow stronger. Just then, Alma arrives fuming with anger and claims that Mirabel is a bad influence on her sisters, and that she is the reason Casita is falling. She believes Mirabel is retaliating for her lack of a gift and blames her for destroying the magic of family. Mirabel then understands she will never be good enough for her grandma and yells that Alma's own high expectations of her family are bringing them down, and that all of it is her fault. As they argue, their house and village begin to crumble apart, and the candle is knocked down. Also, every member of the family loses their powers, and Mirabel flees to retrieve the magical candle. Casita throws everyone out, but Mirabel stays inside to save the candle. When she finally gets her hands on it, the house starts to fall apart. She is somehow covered by some furniture, but the candle soon burns out and the Casita dies. The loss of their home is devastating for the Madrigals, and the Encanto fades from the rest of the village as well. Mirabel then flees to the river and spends the night crying to herself. The next morning, Alma finds her and sits by her. Mirabel begs forgiveness from her grandmother, but Alma admits that she has never been able to return to that place because it was where the miracle happened and Pedro was killed. A flashback shows young Pedro and Alma falling in love, marrying, and raising their children until they were being forced to escape their home. While crossing the river, the men who have invaded their town come across them, and Pedro is compelled to sacrifice himself for the sake of his family. As Alma cries in hopelessness, a miracle happens, and her people are saved. The Encanto then eliminates murderous troops and creates everything in the village. In the present, Alma states that Mirabel never destroyed her family, but it was her own fault. She says that she spent so much time trying to protect the magic and preserve what made the family special that she lost sight of what truly matters. Mirabel then informs her grandma that the Madrigal family exists because of her, and the miracle happened because of her. She then adds that nothing has been destroyed that cannot be repaired, and they hug each other. Just then, Bruno arrives and apologizes to his mother for his bad visions, but his mother hugs him and tells him that she is overjoyed to see him after such a long time. The three then arrive home and are reunited with their families. Soon after, the entire community arrives and begins fixing up the Madrigal home. A few months later, the house is finally finished, and the Madrigals gather to honor each other while also praising Mirabel for bringing them all back together. They gift her a doorknob created especially for her, and when she places it in the front door, the Casita and all of its magic are restored. The locals rejoice with this, and the film concludes with the Madrigals gathering for a full family picture. We have come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Kindly like, subscribe, and share this video. If you also have thoughts you intend to share, kindly leave them in the comment section. See you in the next video.